Hey, this is Phil Lilley, Lilley's Landing Resort in Marina, Lake Taneycomo. Blake, Jackson, and I are going to do one cast. A little different today. We're on Table Rock at Bridgeport, Cape Fair, James River. It's Monday the 2nd of January, and we're going to go after crappie.
Hi guys, Blake here today with Lilley's Landing Resort in Marina. Beautiful Lake Taneycomo, Branson, Missouri. It is the 3rd. I don't know if you can see that waterfall, but it is the 3rd of January. And I'm gonna do the one cast for you today. Today I boated down here to what we call the waterfall on C of O's property. Just about a half mile down from the resort. And we got 11 foot of water. Okay. And we're gonna fish this little corner and part of the Cooper Creek Flat. Got a little bit of chop. Today, starting off, got a 8 foot spin cast rod. We're gonna start off with the Derringer jig, tied by Darren in our office. And I've got that on a weighted cork. I've got it set at 8 foot right now. Probably gonna give it 1 more foot of depth since we got about 11 foot of water here. Keep it within 2 foot of the bottom there. And we're gonna see if there's any fish hungry down here today. About a foot. Go. Another beautiful day here in the Ozarks, and probably the last really nice day for a little bit. Starting tomorrow, the temperatures are going to plummet just a touch. And we'll start having lows in the 20s and highs in the 40s for the next few days. But it is about 60 degrees outside again today, so enjoy it while it lasts. We've been busy moving boats around, getting everything ready for the tournament. This weekend, we moved the center section out of the dock just a little bit ago. So I haven't had time to talk to really anybody about fishing reports today. A young man that was sitting on the dock up top was using a combination of power bait and his own homemade dough bait, and it looked like he was catching them pretty steadily. The water is off again all day today. I think that makes Saturday, Sunday. I don't know if they ran water yesterday. Phil and I were crappie fishing all day. I want to say they left the water off all day yesterday. If that's the case, the water has been off for roughly 4 days now. And I'm not sure when they plan to run it again. I'm sure it'll be sometime this week, but for now, the water is off again all day. Really never fails that whenever I pick a spot that has chop, the wind inevitably stops blowing. So go ahead and say it. No fish on the first cast. Oh, that's not good. I really hope that doesn't turn into a knot, because this is the only rod I brought. See if I can salvage it. Oh my gosh, that was a close one. Might be time to change this rod on, or the line on Phil's rod here. Try that cast one more time and hope it doesn't do that again. There we go. Okay. So I took spot lock off. I'm just trying to let what little wind is blowing now push me down to the corner and onto the flat here. But the Cooper Creek flat is generally a very good spot to come to, whether you're jig fishing or jerk baits or power bait or night crawlers or whatever it may be. All of the flats on the lake usually are holding at least some fish. And this little corner right here kind of dips in, goes around to the flat. Usually a pretty good spot. You'll oftentimes find at least one boat anchored fishing this corner on any given day. We don't think we got quite the storm that they were predicting us to have last night, but later, probably around 9 or 10 into the night, we did get some heavier rain and wind. There's some more wind. I need it. So the waterfalls are flowing pretty heavily still. I don't think it really surged the creeks any, but water's still just about as clean as it has been. I did bring one big micro jig with me, probably like a 50th ounce. I guess at that point it's really not micro, but it is one of the old ones made by PJ, I believe. Just in a bigger size. Just in case they didn't like this jig, or maybe they're just not into the ginger color today. I will be periodically going to the back of the boat to check the depth, because this does flatten out. It's a little shallower. I believe it gets to around 9 foot, so at that point I'll want to scoot this back down to about 8 foot of depth. Oh, well, my bobber went under. I'm not exactly sure whether that was maybe caught on a piece of debris there or if it was a fish, but it did go under. And just like with the pink power worm the other day, I am letting that jig kind of get underneath the indicator, giving it a second to set there, and then I am giving it a nice solid pull across the top of the water, anywhere from 6 to 12 inches, and letting the jig resettle. a lot of times that is the action that works good when the water's off. And there's a fish. Perfect little stalker trout. And a solid hook set, because he should have popped off of there by now. Still doing that water load cast. I'm officially at this point using more length under the indicator than I have rod length. So water load cast is pretty crucial if you don't want to spend your time untangling every cast. I'll put the spot lock on there just for a second, not to lose my ground as we drift down, and I'm taking it back off now. I have to imagine that if they're liking this much movement under the indicator, that just fishing a regular jig right here would probably be pretty good as well. But if I did that every single episode, I'm sure somebody would get bored. You could, there's just a variety of things that you could throw underneath the indicator here. All variety of these types of jigs here, the micro jigs, the PJ's finesse jigs. I've come down here and done really well on this flat on the few different colors of the PJ's finesse jig underneath the indicator, about 9 foot or so. Always just keeping it within 2 foot of the bottom, really. And I fished the miracle flies and the mega worms in different areas on the lake, such as this one, and have caught fish doing that too. So large variety of things you could be throwing underneath an indicator down here right now. And I know it doesn't get talked about much, but you totally could throw, you know, within that last 2 foot of the bottom underneath an indicator, a night crawler, just a piece of a night crawler on the end of your hook. And I think that you would probably find it fairly successful. The wind has changed directions on me, so we're going to spin the boat around. And it changed directions again. Goodness gracious. It started blowing me towards the bank, so I spun the boat around this way to control it, and now it's blowing back downstream again. We are officially moving on to the flat. I have a feeling I'm going to need to adjust my depth here. I could probably keep it at 9 foot if I felt like moving the indicator pretty much the whole time and never giving the jig enough time to sink all the way under, straight up and down. Which I have seen that work before too. There was a time last year when Dwayne was, they keep the pink power worm moving almost the entire time under the indicator, and they were catching fish pretty good. Just all depends on what the fish are in the mood for. Still got 11 foot for now. I do know that towards this bank over here it does get a touch shallower. This flat, also notable for the amount of brown trout that live here for most of the year. I've caught a lot of browns right here on this transition between that corner and where the flat starts. Throwing jerk baits. Generally when the water's running. However, you can still catch them on the jerk bait. You've just got to put a lot more work into the action. Really keep it smoking through the water. See if, now that the back of the boat's made it over, if we change depths yet. Nope. Okay. I don't believe it, but all right. Quite a bit of little weed debris and leaf debris on the water, so I'm trying to make sure I look at that jig as it comes out of the water. The fish will not bite it if it has that stuff on it, which I don't understand because I've seen them eat it before. So if I had more time today, I would certainly be throwing on different versions and colors of these finesse style jigs. I figure out which one they're after, but we're just gonna stick with the Derringer today. And oh, still picking up the office from down here. Throw one out in the middle just to make sure. There might be some extra rainwater in the lake today. Generally this flat stays around that 10-foot mark, 9.5. It's at 11 today, so we might have got enough rainwater, considering they haven't ran or released anything out of the lake, to add maybe about a foot of depth. We certainly got at least an inch last night, so on a waterway, 1 inch of rain equals usually about a foot of rise in elevation. And until they release water at the other end of the lake, it will remain holding that. Oh, there we go. There's some of that scum pond weed that I was talking about. It's at least 20 inches. This will be a successful trophy catch and release. There's a fish. See if we can get him. Pretty good cast. Landed it right in front of where he came up at. Nope, nope, don't do that. Moving that indicator around always helps you keep your slack reeled in tight. That way when they do bite, got a nice direct line for your hook set. But it's looking like it might be a one fish and done kind of day here. So I am only going to take 1 or 2 more casts. And actually we're going to call this the last cast right now. And I found some more. I would say that what is happening here, I don't see any of it floating on top, so I'm gonna have to assume I'm picking that up off the bottom, which means that even though my depth finder is saying we're in 11 foot of water out here, that we're probably casting into more like 8 or 9 foot of water. So we're gonna set that at about 8 or so feet for the last cast. One quick way I always can tell how deep I've set it. So this is an 8-foot rod. Probably got it set at about 7 foot. We'll just try to get a nice solid cast closer to the bank. There was a fish rising right there. Not sure what Little Rock number is calling me, but I'll call him back. Even looks like we might have some fish beginning to midge over here. Yep, they sure are.